take us to Uganda. Go on.
Yeah, bring you a story that I've been working on, lads, over the last couple of weeks, and I think it's something we might keep an eye on. There's a lot of really interesting work being done in the world around GAA, and particularly in Africa. There's been a growth just in recent years. There's a couple of clubs now have kind of popped up, and Nile Og Cusacks is one of them. We might have the graphic here as I'm chatting of the logo itself. It's one of the most unique crests that I've seen. But John Conroy is a person who set up this club. So just to give you an idea what we're looking at here, it's one of the best club crests that I've ever seen. You've got the River Nile, which begins in Jinja, Uganda, running through the iconic Pole na Brone dolmen in the Burren. So there's a huge Clare connection here with this club. John Conroy, a Clare native from the Michael Cusacks club in North Clare. He's a fitness teacher and a yoga teacher, and he's also been a part of Clare backroom teams over the last couple of years, working in the stats department. John has been volunteering in Uganda since 2009. I mentioned the strong Clare connection. Pair of doctors, the Hassids from Ennis, set up a hospice in Jinja back around 20 years ago. And about 15 months ago, 3 hours south of the capital of Uganda, he founded the Nile Og Cusacks GA club, based out of a school where he's been volunteering. They've got a football field, they've got goalposts that they roll and they store away at night. Their participation numbers have grown from just 30 at the very, very start to 380 boys and girls in the school who are learning to play Gaelic football at least 3 times a week. So we might have a listen to John here on why he's volunteered in Uganda for the past 15 years and how he first introduced the kids there to the GA.
The biggest draw, Tommy, would be the people themselves. That they're unbelievable. They're so friendly, they're so nice, they're so warm, and they need help. The economy, people themselves, first of all, there's a large population, there's 50 million, and half that are under 16. So you have massive rates of unemployment. As I mentioned with figures there, for school-going kids, it's about 100 in the classroom with one teacher. So educational opportunities are quite limited. Job opportunities are limited. So when you go there, you can see the impact that you can make on the lives of especially the kids that we deal with and their families and the wider community. What we did, again, we've great sponsors and donors at home who have given us a lot of fundraising money. We bought a television for the school, which would be very unique. We paid for Wi-Fi. And we started off showing YouTube clips from the telly. And then we brought the kids out onto the field and developed from there.
So they started out in this school in Jinja. It wasn't mentioned there by John, but they started out with 30 deaf children. So there's a part of the school that just has deaf children, and they had one of the sign language teachers and got her involved. They actually got the words Gaelic football and hurling initiated into the sign language in Uganda. So that was, I suppose, put into place in the last couple of months by the Irish ambassador to Uganda, Kevin Colgan. So that's how they started off, right? And since then, the numbers have expanded to the rest of the school. John travels to Uganda multiple times a year. He's actually over there right now. He goes over on his holidays and volunteers and works in various areas around the school. What he did initially, lads, he went about developing local teachers as coaches, and he runs the club itself from home. So he basically has all the coaches and the principal of a school. They have a treasurer and a secretary of the club as well in a WhatsApp group. And he has created a YouTube library of GA drills and games. John sets out a schedule then on WhatsApp every week during the school year. So every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Friday evening during the school year, the kids all leave their class and they go out and they play Gaelic football for an hour. The coaches afterwards send back feedback. They send back videos of how the kids are getting on during and after every training session. So you might have seen a bit of that beforehand, and you'll see a bit more of it here. So here's John on the short-term goals that they have for developing GA in Uganda.
What I'd love to do is provide a kind of a template that what we're doing here could be rolled out to the rest of Africa. I think that from a GA point of view, this could be a really good opening from what we're doing to come back, support what we're doing and roll that out to different regions. We have a couple of, I suppose, short-term goals that we're looking at. One would be to hold a Jinja championship, a county championship.
Because there's a couple of clubs over there.
Yeah, there's a couple of clubs, Tommy, there. So we're in Jinja. We look at West Primary School as the home of where we are. So John Walsh then from my Cullen, John is in Uganda for most of the year. He set up Simba Wolfhounds. And then 2 of our coaches since the summertime have set up another club called Jinja Football Academy, which is 10 minutes away. And then about an hour away then in a place called Blanco, I've been supporting another club last year and this year called I Duty Titans, and they have 250 kids up there.
Loads of activity happening, not quite officially recognised yet by Croke Park.
Yeah, and I'll get to that in just a second, because that's an interesting part of it, Ger. They're not affiliated yet with the GAA. Now, the Simba Wolfhounds have been affiliated. I think they went through that process. They started a little bit before that, maybe. So they're a little bit over, and they've been affiliated. Now, what that means is, I think you get a bit more backing from the GAA. There's an official connection there. So I'll bring you through a bit of that later on, because there's a couple of quirks to it. I asked John as well about the long-term ambitions, because, he's talking there about, a provincial championship in Jinja, which, when you think about it, it sounds a bit pie in the sky, but when you see the numbers that are playing Gaelic football every week, it sounds like there's a bit of potential here. So here's John on what might happen next.
The long-term goal would be, so we're in a province called Busoga, and there's 4.5 million people in that. It's one of the poorest regions of sub-Saharan Africa. So we'd love to develop the game within that province and have a provincial championship, say like a Munster championship. And then the plan would be to develop from there and have other regions begin clubs, and then have other regions have county championships, and then have an all-Uganda championship. That would be certainly our goal, and to see that game move outside Uganda.
Yeah, so look, the Nile Og Cusacks club are reliant on fundraising and donors. Many GA clubs in Clare have donated jerseys and equipment. Football boots are naturally very hard sourced, and there's a big focus on supplying shorts for their female players as well in the school. And although, as you mentioned there, they have been in conversations with World GA, Nile Og Cusacks aren't yet affiliated with the GA. So, there is challenges there as well. So I asked John on what it's like overseeing this GA club, this very new GA club, unique GA club in Uganda, from afar, from back home in Clare, and whether they can one day officially become affiliated with the GA.
It's a daily thing. And then club coaches might come back with a query or a question, whatever. So, yeah, it's constant. And that's the key thing on it. I suppose, again, learning from maybe charities who've gone to African countries is that you empower the local people. So you upskill them, you empower them, and you let them off. You let them off, you guide them. But you have to guide the local people, otherwise the thing won't take off. And I think so far so good, we've been successful on that.
What's the connection with the GA? And have they got involved, or how does it work when you set up a club in somewhere like Jinja, outside in Uganda? How does that work then with the GA overall?
Yeah, we're set up a year and a half now, so we've had a good few talks in the last year and a half, and I must mention Robert Frost from Clare GA, who's been trying really hard to get us help. And so far now, and look, it's been disappointing. We haven't got any financial help so far. And I don't know, is there any concrete plans to support us? So we do need funds, I suppose, to maintain the club and grow the club and expand the club even further. So our fundraising at the moment comes from local donors who very kindly give us a lot of fundraising money. But look at hopefully, in fairness to GA, it's hard because you really need to be at the ground level to see what's going on. I think if you saw what's happening and the impact it has on the people and the locals and the community, and you could see the potential there, it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, like it is fascinating, lads. Like there's a GA club happening and training happening in Uganda, and a lot of it's been done by locals in Uganda. It's obviously been ran from back in Ireland by John Conroy, who oversees it from here, but also travels over. And like John has been going back and forth for an awful long time and has a huge connection to the country there. There's also, as I mentioned, other clubs, and as John mentioned, that have now splintered and started. So something has kind of caught a hold of it over there in this small little pocket in Uganda. Like there are other quirks to this too. So, given the many socio-economic difficulties in the country, one of the things that John does is he pays the coaches €5 a training session. Paying coaches isn't that surprising a thing when it comes to Ireland. Like there's a lot of under the table payments happening when it comes to club coaches or managers. There's also official coaches that go into schools in Ireland itself that have been trained up and spread the gospel of the game in Ireland. It was massive in terms of Dublin success. This is a little bit more off the cuff, and it's I suppose, I'm not sure it's something that the GA themselves would have gone after too, but it's when you think of it, trying to encourage the growth of a game somewhere where there isn't a massive Irish footprint, it's quite a novel way of doing it, and it seems to be working in this regard here. So that concept of paying the coaches who haven't necessarily gone through, a GAA coaching course, but are being steered by someone like John, we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see how far it goes and it grows. Like you can see from the clips there, they don't have a 2-point arc yet, but one of the kids is clipping over a free from 25 yards. It's so interesting to see that aspect of it, especially when there isn't as much of an Irish influence there. We
were hard out of 10 o'clock here, Tommy. 30 seconds. Last
30 seconds. It's just, we have this graphic here of the World GAA, and you see the work that's been done on an official level. And it's the last little bit here. That's all the clubs when it comes to GAA that have kind of spread across the world. And it is remarkable, really, all the different work that's happening. John has started spreading the gospel of the game in Uganda. There are other bits and pieces happening there as well. So we'll keep an eye on it over the next little bit.
Right.
Thanks for giving the time. I just wanted to bring that story.